was, I think, dating Trump at that time, Melania Trump, or they were in a serious relationship, something of that nature, gets this seemingly pass.
Graced the covers of numerous fashion magazines, was demanding a very high rate to her work. So I think it's inarguable that she qualified for that arts category in the modeling.
Yeah.
It started with a smirk, a sharp inhale, and then the unmistakable voice of Representative Jasmine Crockett pierced through the tension of the hearing room like a scalpel. "We're sitting here talking about visa abuse, right?" she said, narrowing her eyes. "So, can somebody explain to me how Melania Trump qualified for a visa meant for geniuses? Because I'm really struggling with that math."
Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
Silence. It was the kind of moment that makes headlines. Not because it was rehearsed, but because it was raw, pointed, and audacious. Crockett wasn't asking for clarity. She was making a statement, a bold, blistering one, and she wasn't going to let it go. In a session originally focused on general immigration enforcement and reforms, Representative Crockett took a hard left turn into controversy. She brought up something many had whispered about for years, but few dared to address on record: Melania Trump's EB-1 visa, an elite immigration pathway dubbed the Einstein Visa that's reserved for individuals with exceptional accomplishments in their fields. Exceptional ability? Crockett asked, almost laughing. In what? Posing for magazines.
I would agree with Jasmine Crockett. She does not have any Einstein nature qualities.
This wasn't some petty jab. This was a full-throttle takedown cloaked in congressional decorum. Crockett, a former civil rights attorney from Texas, wasn't just lobbing insults. She was holding a mirror to the American immigration system and asking an uncomfortable question. If the system is supposedly merit-based, then how did Melania Trump, without a Nobel Prize, without an Oscar, without a documented record of groundbreaking achievement, receive a visa intended for the best of the best? Let's rewind. The EB-1 visa is a highly coveted immigration category designed for individuals of extraordinary talent. Scientists, award-winning authors, Olympic athletes, those are the usual suspects. It requires evidence of national or international acclaim, like top-tier awards, critical acclaim in reputable media, published research, or documented breakthroughs in one's field.
You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist.
And in 2001, Melania Knaus, a model with a modest portfolio and no major international accolades, was granted one. The moment Crockett raised this in the hearing, it was as though she had lit a fuse. "So, let me get this straight," she said, her voice rising. "Melania Trump, with no known patents, no artistic innovation, no academic credentials, qualified for a visa meant for once-in-a-generation talent. Meanwhile, immigrants with PhDs and global recognition wait years just to be heard. Make it make sense." Her Republican colleagues looked stunned. Some rolled their eyes. Others attempted to cut her off. But Crockett wasn't interested in decorum at that point. She was doing what she does best, flipping the script. "This isn't personal," she clarified, although her delivery was anything but neutral. "This is about fairness. If we're going to tighten our borders and scrutinize people coming here for better lives, then we need to apply that scrutiny to everyone. Yes, even former First Ladies." Online, the moment exploded like wildfire. Within hours, the video of her speech had racked up millions of views. Supporters praised her courage for saying what so many had only dared to tweet. Detractors called her disrespectful, accusing her of attacking the Trump family out of spite. But Crockett stood firm. "I'm not attacking her," she told reporters after the hearing. "I'm attacking a system that gives preferential treatment to people with the right last names and zip codes. If you think that's controversial, maybe you're the problem." Melania Trump has never fully detailed how she obtained her EB-1 visa, though it's widely believed she was sponsored by her modeling agency. She's graced magazine covers, walked high-profile runways, and worked with known photographers. But none of that quite screams extraordinary ability by EB1 standards, especially not when compared to applicants with major international awards, published scientific research, or lifelong careers at the pinnacle of their industries. And that's the heart of Crockett's critique. She wasn't just questioning Melania's credentials, she was shining a light on a deeper, more troubling pattern. That in America, the same immigration laws don't apply equally. That for every immigrant who must jump through flaming bureaucratic hoops, there's another who glides through the gates thanks to connections, money, or celebrity.
Was, I think, dating Trump at that time, Melania Trump, or they were in a serious relationship, something of that nature, gets this seemingly pass.
And while Crockett's delivery was blistering, her point was grounded in something undeniable: hypocrisy. Republican lawmakers have spent years railing against abuses of the immigration system. They've demonized asylum seekers, scapegoated low-wage workers, and painted immigrants as leeches on the system. But when one of their own, when someone married to the most powerful man in the country appears to have benefited from a loophole or generous interpretation of the law, silence. That's what Crockett refused to ignore. There's this idea that we're supposed to just accept certain things, she said. We're supposed to believe that Melania Trump somehow rose to the top 1% of her field in modeling, that she's in the same league as someone who won an Emmy or developed a cure for a disease. That's insulting to everyone who actually meets those criteria. But it wasn't just her words that landed. Crockett brought receipts. She cited the official requirements for the EB1 visa, including the need for significant awards, critical media coverage, and evidence of leadership in one's field.
But you can also get it by meeting 3 out of 10 specific criteria, including nationally/internationally recognized awards, high salary relative to others in the field.
Then she contrasted that with the lack of any publicly known accolades associated with Melania at the time of her application. She wasn't Naomi Campbell, Crockett said. She wasn't even close. Critics quickly fired back. They pointed out that Melania speaks multiple languages, has worked internationally, and had a successful modeling career. Not everyone can marry Donald Trump, quipped one conservative witness during the hearing. That's a skill. Crockett shot back instantly. You're right, I couldn't have done it. The line was biting, but it also underscored the absurdity of the defense. Since when was marrying a billionaire considered a valid substitute for extraordinary professional achievement?
Graced the covers of numerous fashion magazines, was demanding a very high rate to her work, so I think it's inarguable that she qualified for that arts category in the modeling.
Yeah.
For many watching at home, Crockett's questions resonated, not because they hated Melania Trump, but because they recognized a pattern, a system that claims to be about fairness, but rewards those who already have power. A system that shuts its doors on talented people from less glamorous backgrounds while opening the floodgates for those with fame or fortune. It wasn't long before hashtags like Einstein Visa and Math Ain't Mathin' started trending. Political commentators debated the implications. Immigration lawyers chimed in with technical interpretations of EB1 standards. And voters? They just shook their heads. This wasn't the first time Melania's visa had been scrutinized. Journalists had raised questions during Trump's presidency, but back then, the conversation was always quickly buried under the avalanche of daily scandals. This time, Crockett's approach gave it teeth and timing. As the U.S. gears up for yet another high-stakes election season, immigration is once again front and center. And Crockett's viral moment served as a powerful reminder that the conversation can't just be about border security. It has to include the quiet, unspoken inequalities embedded in the system itself. Because for every story like Melania's, where privilege may have smoothed the path, there are thousands of undocumented immigrants brought here as children, engineers stuck in visa backlogs, and nurses denied residency despite working through pandemics. Crockett didn't just challenge Melania's visa, she challenged America to take a hard look at what it really values.
Math ain't mathin', says Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
In a House hearing Wednesday, Crockett questioned First Lady Melania Trump's reported EB1 visa.
Does the country admire genuine achievement? Or is the system rigged to reward the already rich and well-connected? That's the real question behind the headline. In the days following her comments, Crockett refused to walk anything back. "If the truth makes people uncomfortable, maybe they should ask why," she tweeted. "I said what I said." And in a political era dominated by sound bites and scripted outrage, that kind of candor, love it or hate it, cuts through the noise.
Leagues want to restore integrity and security in the visa process is actually a joke. Let me be clear, integrity is not snatching lawful visa holders off the streets.
So, was Crockett's takedown of Melania harsh? Maybe. But was it rooted in a legitimate question about fairness and transparency? Absolutely. Because the truth is, if we're going to talk about immigration integrity, we can't cherry-pick the cases that fit our narrative. We can't demand perfection from refugees while looking the other way when celebrities get a free pass. We can't claim to honor merit, then reward mediocrity cloaked in glamour. And Jasmine Crockett, whether you agree with her style or not, wasn't about to let that slide. Not this time. Not on her watch.